Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Limit Breakdown with your host, Sid
and Migs. And the too long didn't watch take on Everything Everywhere All at Once is 4 hearts. That means go watch this in theaters. It's going to be a really good time.
So stay tuned for in-depth review, thoughts, and opinions of Everything Everywhere at Once after our intro.
Roll it. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Limit Breakdown. Today we're going to be discussing Everything Everywhere All at Once. We're going to start off with a brief synopsis of the movie, so take it away, Sid.
Yeah, so the movie actually has an interesting plot. So it's about this aging Chinese immigrant who is swept as an insane adventure where she alone can save the universe by connecting to other multiverses and possibly lives that she could have led depending on her decisions. I think this is a great concept for a multiverse theory because in most multiverses you see that when, let's just take Spider-Man for example, when he goes to the multiverse, he meets the other versions. In this one, I actually like it where she more or less becomes them or has memories of the other personalities of the multiverse.
It was a very unique take on the typical multiverse formula that we've been seeing right now. You know, a lot of properties are doing the multiverse thing, and right, and it was very cool to see instead of people jumping into other universes, it's kind of like the universes were jumping into them.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you know, and then the little aspect of having to do the random little act in order to create the pathway into that was provided for some interesting scenes.
Yeah, definitely. I actually think they did a great job with the concept of the movie and how different it is than like other things. The directors definitely had a great vision. So the directors are the Daniels. They're two directors actually. Combined, they're called the Daniels, and they do definitely some outlandish stuff. For example, I didn't know this. They actually did the recording for Turn Down for What? The song.
Okay, the music video. Yeah.
So they did the music video, and if you haven't seen the music video for Turn Down for What, even though the song is ridiculous, the video is even more ridiculous. If you ever get a chance, watch that video. So
I actually haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out.
It's definitely out there. Very different than anything you've ever seen in a normal music video, especially something from like Lil Jon and them. But they did a great job with the concept of taking the multiverse and making it different. Another aspect of the movie that I liked is it's not just about saving the world and everything. They bring a lot of home values as well as like a love factor, and they intertwine it in the synopsis or in the story rather than just here it is on a separate, but it has nothing to do. It's one.
Before we get too deep into the analysis of it, I wanted to talk a little bit about the buzz around the movie, just because I don't know about you, but going in to watch this movie, there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare before it. It's more or less kind of an independent film. And I had heard mostly positive things about the movie. Was your experience similar going into it?
Yeah, so I was actually very excited about it. One, I like the main actress Michelle Yeoh, so I think she's a great actress. So I was excited. She's done great movies. I was excited regardless. Definitely with Marvel and everybody doing the multiverse, I wanted to see how they're gonna take it. The hype for the movie was actually more of me hyping myself up for the movie. Though I'd seen trailers and people talking about it here and there, and everyone was saying that this is going to be a good movie.
No, but I think I know Michelle mostly from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah,
I think that's where a lot of people know her, but she has done a myriad of other films. Interestingly enough, I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but the male protagonist in this film, he played her husband.
Yeah.
He was more famously known previously as his role in The Goonies. He was the little Asian kid with the backpack.
Wow.
And he had
did not connect that.
he had been out of acting for 30 years, and this is his first film since The Goonies.
I did not know that. Wow, that's ridiculous.
So that was I thought that was pretty cool. And it added a whole nother layer to me in the one scene where he was fighting with the little fanny pack because of him having
that
the
makes
fanny
way
pack
more sense now.
in
That
The
makes
Goonies. So
significantly more sense now.
So that
Oh my
I thought
God.
that was pretty cool. But going back to the conversation, I had heard a bunch of really, really good reviews, and for the most part, I felt like it lived up to the hype. It wasn't a perfect film. I had heard people saying, "Oh, this is a 5-star film," and it was a really, really good story. For me, it was 90% of the way there. It got a little predictable for me towards the middle part, and I felt like I pretty much knew where the story was going halfway through the movie, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you have there are times when the story writes itself.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where they laid out the path and then they followed it, which is not always a bad thing in storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. And the way they did it in the 3 parts, where it's everything was part 1, everywhere is part 2, and then all at once was part 3. Though each of them individually had different screen times, but I like how they laid that out in the actual movie, and that kind of brought a consensus of what's going on in the movie, and they played on that part. The first part of the movie, and honestly, was one of my favorites. The everything part, that they did a phenomenal job with that. I agree with you. Where the everywhere part happened, the movie did slow down a little bit because I think it was trying to get to the meat of it, and it was a little draggy. The ending, I think, was really good. It could have had a little bit things here and there that would have made it better, but it was still pretty good. And I think because of that, I gave it a 4 rather than a 4.5 or even full 4 hearts.
I thoroughly enjoyed how grounded the story was, because when you get into these movies with all of these out there concepts, things like multiverse and interdimensional things, you run the risk of getting a little bit too out there. But it was very grounded. Yes, there were multiverse aspects of it, but it was very much grounded in the fact that every decision that you make could lead to a possible different outcome.
Yeah.
Also the fight choreography.
Yeah,
oh my
it was
God,
really
dude,
good. They did a phenomenal job with that.
The
really well done.
The one scene where Buddy was fighting the cops with the fanny pack.
Yeah, the fanny pack.
That was absolutely.
I straight up was like, Jackie Chan.
Yes,
That looked like a straight Jackie Chan thing. 'Cause people fight with knives and guns and bullets. Jackie Chan fights with a ladder. So yes, he also can fight with a fanny pack.
Yeah. No, it very much had a Rumble in the Bronx type feel with the fight choreography, which was surprising. I loved the overall tone that was able to be kept, because, like I said, it was to try to put this movie into a genre is a challenge of itself, because it spans so many different. It's sci-fi, it's martial arts, it's drama. The core of the story, and this is where, like I said, it got a little predictable for me, but I understood where it was going. Like, it seems to be the current theme right now is of storytelling is going into generational trauma, and a little bit about on this one, with the initial setup for the movie is it starts with her daughter, who is a lesbian woman, who is introducing her partner to her family, and she wants to introduce it to her grandfather, but the mother won't allow it because she's like, he's from a different generation, he won't understand. And it was just, you could see how she was struggling for acceptance from her father, and her daughter was struggling from acceptance from her, and it was all stemming from that. So the different versions of all of the characters were all leading to the same central conflict, which was at the end of the day compensating and reconciling that generational trauma.
Yeah. Encanto, in theory.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I think how they did that was so that was the main, from what I understand, that was the main core of the villain's objective, right? So Jabu Tapaki is the main villain in the movie, and how they introduce the villain basically is they're like, well, in the Alphaverse, which is the first universe that unlocked the secrets to the multiverse and to connect to the other verses, Jabu Chupaki was experimented on, or was pushed to the limits to connect to other worlds. And basically after a while they're like, Jabu Chupaki stayed in the other worlds too much, and because of that their mind is broken and they're everywhere, and they want to like destroy the universe or something like that. Later on you come to find out that Jabu Chupaki happens to be Joy, who's the daughter of the main character. Evelyn is the main character. And the way that I think they explained it was Jabu Tupaki in the Alphaverse basically, like I said, was to push too far. Again, because of her mom, who's Evelyn, and then connecting the dots to the main universe, which has the laundromat. And the mom is also pushing the daughter, like you were saying earlier. You know, the generational trauma where I don't really accept you as you are. I want you to be what I see in my head. One of those like good intentions, bad actions, right? So the mom has good intentions to make make the daughter better, but the actions are just not there, and that's how Jabu Tubaki is introduced into as a villain.
And I felt that, like, also, while yes, by the nature of her powers and her abilities, she was the villain, but also the prime version of the grandfather, I thought was a secondary villain on there, because as they were introducing the conflict and introducing the main narrative, which was, we're trying to find the strongest version of Evelyn to fight Jobu Tupaki, because she's too strong, she's gonna kill everybody, and the thought was this version of Evelyn would be able to kill Jobu Tupaki. But then she's like, well, no, this is still my daughter, like, this is not an evil creation. and he's like, how could you ask me to give up on my daughter the way that you gave up on me? So I again, going back to the whole aspect of generational trauma, and it like I said, it was a good story. I think it was a story worth telling. But also that's kind of a little bit where it was like, okay, it seems to be a current theme of movies recently addressing that, which is, again, not necessarily a bad thing. But I could clearly see where the story was going and the direction that it was going. And that's kind of what lost me a little bit, because it had potential to be so much more.
Yeah.
But again, that's not always necessarily the thing. Like, everything doesn't need a crazy twist.
Yeah.
So
I think what gave this movie an edge, besides a crazy plot, is it was funny. Like, they made fun of their own characters and the other things. And it was, for example, when they're trying to figure out which Evelyn in the multiverse is the strongest. And her husband is like, well, this one can do, martial arts really well. This one can do this. And she's like, you are bad at everything.
Yes.
And then it's supposed to be like this serious, heartfelt moment. It's supposed to be like a pep talk. And he's like, you suck so bad that because you suck so bad, you can do everything. Because the other multiverses, like, there was one that was really good at martial arts. There was one that's good at, like, gymnastics. One that's good at this and that and that. Like, even the finger one.
Yeah.
That one was good with their feet. Because
Yeah.
they can play piano and do stuff like that. But because this one, the main universe, we'll call it the one with the laundromat, she can't do anything because she had so many, I guess, regrets, or not, what's the word I'm looking for? So many things she didn't accomplish.
Yeah.
She's just generic. And because of that, she, I guess, has potential.
She had the most potential.
She had the most potential to do the most damage.
Yeah.
And it just, the way they presented it, it was just so funny. And I'm like, it makes sense, but it's just hilarious the way it was the worst pep talk.
He's like, you're the worst version of you.
Yeah, I died. It was so funny. So that's another take on the movie. I generally love the random funny things in there. Like, another thing, when she first understands that Joy is Jobu Tupaki, or when they first cross paths, and Jobu Tupaki comes out in I think a wrestler outfit or something, and her mom, being a mom, is like, why do you look so stupid? And I died. I was like, that's something my parents would say if I dressed up. Like, they're like, why do you look so stupid?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah, that definitely hit right home. That's definitely something I would have heard.
So it was things like that where I think that is what made the movie as good as it is, right? Yes, there were a few things in the plot that kind of lacked, or it was slow, not lacked, but those points, those funny moments, things like that is what made the movie amazing.
And like I said, I felt like it took itself serious enough, but it didn't take itself too serious. But the storytelling of it was really on point. The cinematography of it was really on point. And just the creativity and the way the story was forged. Like I said, everything didn't feel forced, and it didn't feel like it was supposed to be this crazy sci-fi adventure. It gently weaved in and out of all of these genres and situations, and it crafted this story that at the end of the day, like, I left that movie theater going, man, okay, that was different, but that wasn't like, like I said, going back to the hot dog fingers, that was really not cool in my book. In particularly, I think the thing that disturbed me the most was the one scene where they're like caressing each other with the hot dog fingers, and then they secrete the mustard and ketchup, and it's like, was that necessary?
It was definitely weird. It was definitely weird.
Hot dog fingers. It's not a good evolutionary trait.
I like how that was another thing. So they were like, what world would you ever need hot dog fingers? And they did an evolutionary one where I think it was like cavemen or like early Neanderthals or whatever, and they had the hot dog fingers and they're just beating each other. I'm like, what? There is no purpose to this scene at all. It was just pure comedy. That was amazing. Go ahead. I was gonna say another universe that I really liked was the Rock one. So the Rock one is basically them two on a cliff overlooking this valley, desert type thing, and they're just rocks. That's it. They're just two giant rocks, and their conversation is in text. And to me, I think that was so clever. But that scene, I was thinking about it that night. It's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not groundbreaking, but it's just, your existence is just, when you have like an existential crisis, that's what it feels like. Yeah. She's like, nothing matters. Like, it's just, And then and the thought about it is just, they're just two rocks talking to each other. And theoretically, nothing matters, because they're like, the way they describe it, next day you're gonna think that something new discovery is gonna happen. It's gonna make you even feel smaller. Yeah. Right. And it's just, that thought is so mind blowing in a movie like this, and I'm just like, and it's just two rocks. Yeah.
And I think part of the underlying story is that the thought process of nothing matters is the center of nihilism, right? And it's very easy, and even if you would indulge me here, it's very meta to be like, oh yeah, none of this matters, we don't matter, nothing matters, and while I think at the end of the day the core message on this particular film was that, in the grand scheme of things, our puny little lives don't matter that much, but the connections that we make do. The people that we interact with, and like, even if we are just two rocks sitting here next to each other talking, at least we're communicating with each other.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah, I agree. And I think that that tied in so well to the end of the movie, right? So the first part of the movie is they're trying to figure out what this multiverse villain wants, right? The second part of the movie, you kind of understand where the villain came from, and then last part of the movie is, you know, reconciling and you know, defeating the enemy per se. But how they brought in the family aspect of it, I think is really clever. Yes, it's about family trauma and everything, but you know, the very end where everything comes together and the mom finally is understanding her faults, and she introduces her lesbian daughter to the grandfather, be like, this is her girlfriend, you know, and then he's like, oh my god, and then Joy runs away, and then she's like, it doesn't matter, she's like, I'm just tired, she's like, I understand that you're going through stuff and this is great, but to me it doesn't matter, it's just nothing.
And particularly for me, I thought it was particularly poignant and powerful because at that point in the narrative, they had both achieved that higher level consciousness where they could be several points at the same time. It's the everything everywhere,
everything at once.
And so she's sitting there telling her daughter, I was like, of all the people we could be, of all the universes we could be, of all the different things we could be experiencing right now, I'm choosing to be right here in this moment with you. And because this matters to me, you matter to me. And I thought that was so incredibly powerful, incredibly relevant to what a lot of people don't really realize, is that half of the battle in a lot of difficult situations is just being present, just being there in that moment. Like in the grand scheme of things, in difficult times, like, you know, there's very little that a person can do, but the immense power of just somebody that stands beside you and says, hey, you're not alone. You're not going through this by yourself. I mean, that's immensely powerful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that point in the movie they did really well. I thought it was a phenomenal point they hit on. Could it have been a little less mushy? Yes, but that's my point of view.
But switching gears a little bit from the emotional beats, the fight towards the end was absolutely fantastic. When they were the very well placed prop.
Oh man!
And tied into that whole thing about the keyways into how to jump into each other world, which was really cool, you know. But no, as she was going through all of the paths in her way to get to her daughter, just like basically she's going through each person in her path and going, okay, what do you need to do to resolve resolve
your demons? I see what you mean. Yes, that was very cool.
That was pretty cool. But again, going back to, you know, it had kung fu movie type elements, like the choreography was so good.
Yeah, the ending scene, I agree, when she was going up the stairs to see her daughter and she went to Jamie Lee Curtis's character and was just like, I care for you, I love you, in her universe, gave her a hug. They're like, oh, okay, my demons are now gone.
And again, hitting on the point again about Jamie Lee Curtis, like the range of characters that she played.
She's a phenomenal character. I mean, phenomenal actress in general. So.
The one point is like, did you put piece of paper to my head? He's like, you did that yourself.
It was. I think the banter between her and Evelyn was as good as the banter between her husband and Evelyn.
Yeah. He did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think actually he did a great job. But yeah, the banter between them two in all the different universes was just so good. She's like, that woman. I'm like, oh. But it was, so the husband did a great job really well. The one thing that I understood why they did it, I personally didn't like it, was the way they introduced his strength, right? So I understand the point that he made. You're a fighter, I'm a lover, but I fight in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that because I think like that. I'm like that. But at one point when he's explaining it, he's like, just be kind. I'm like, bro, To me, it was just so corny and cheesy for him to just stand there, just be kind and be like, you're not a child.
Yeah.
They could have substituted that one line for anything else, and I think the scene would have been great. But just because he was just standing there yelling at people saying, just be kind, I was like, that's not how that works. Like, be like, let's find out a different, alternative way to figure this out. Let's talk it out. Let's, anything. But as soon as they said that, I was like, that's the moment I'm like, all right, this movie's starting to kind of slow down and not be as good as, and it was still in the middle of the movie. I thought the movie was gonna end.
Yeah,
at that point, I thought the movie was
well.
ending, and I'm like, because the credits rolled.
Yeah,
and then so I'm like, is this over?
That was an interesting fake out too.
Yeah,
I was because I knew the runtime of the movie, and I looked down and I was like, wait, it's still supposed to have another 40 minutes. Like,
yeah. So that's the one thing that I wasn't as much of a fan on, but
no, but overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's worth going to go see it. I think it's worth experiencing it. And after all, like this is the type of movie that you should definitely support and see in theaters. It's one of the movies that I actually like. I want to go see it again at some point.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, when it comes out on streaming, I'm gonna watch it again because it's one of those that I feel like when you watch it a second or third time, you're gonna get more out of it because I'm pretty sure there was plenty of things that we missed.
Yeah, there was a lot of Easter eggs in there, random things, especially when they're bouncing back between the worlds. Especially when Jobu,
Tapaki,
when she changes from character to character, her outfits, were on point. I'm not gonna lie, those her outfits were amazing, and then the makeup on her was just top notch. I think the design department did a great job with that with her. I really like her last outfit with the bears. Mm-hmm. I kind of want it. I was like, that's cool.
I thought so too. It looked pretty cool.
Her outfits were like so over the top.
Yeah.
But her makeup matched, and I thought they did a great job with that.
What did you think of the object that they were using to signify like the end of all universe being the bagel?
The everything bagel? Oh, man. When she's like, it's a bagel with everything on it. Literally, and I'm like, it's a donut. Well, I was not expecting that. Because I know in the earlier movie they said she was creating some sort of black hole. And I'm like, okay. And then it's a bagel, and you're like... So I thought it was very clever. Like I said, there was random things in the movie that were so ingenious and then just fun. And then they could have put anything there. It could have been an actual black hole. It made no difference in the movie. Mm-hmm. But it was the everything bagel. Mm. I was like... it was very clever. How they did that. But yeah.
Awesome. So final word on this movie?
Her rewatch, I would definitely recommend everybody to watch this movie. Not perfect, but still entertaining.
Yeah, definitely
solid 4.
Definitely solid movie. I think it's definitely worth the watch, and I think it's a good time. I think we need to support more movies like this to get more. Because, like I said, it was different and it was weird, but it was a good different and a good weird.
Yeah, I agree. Well, guys, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the channel. We have some great reviews coming down the pipeline over the next couple of weeks. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is right around the corner. Also reminding you, as we gear up towards our 100th subscriber, we're going to be giving away this great Stan Lee Funko Pop collectible. Stay tuned to the channel for more content, and thanks for watching. Bye.
If you like our videos, please subscribe and hit the like button.